Hey there, race fans. It's race day. Top 5 with me, Frank 5. 2 seasons have come to a close already. Trucks and Xfinity. One man has emerged back to the top despite no victories, and another young gun has made an absolute name for himself. Let's get to it. Number 1, the Truck Series finale. The NASCAR Gander Outdoor Truck Series came to a close last night in Homestead. In the end, my man, Matt Crafton, who had not won a NASCAR Gander Outdoor Truck Series race since 2017, didn't win a race, but he won the war, claiming his third NASCAR Gander Outdoors Truck Series Championship. What a story for Matt Crafton. At the beginning of the season, the rumor was that, even though he was staying with Thorsport Racing, that his crew chief, Carl Joyner, or Junior Joyner, would not be back with as Crafton's crew chief, but they were able to put things together and stay for the 2019 season, had a very consistent year, but unfortunately, they weren't able to get to Victory Circle. Well, last night, when it all mattered as part of the championship four, Matt Crafton put together a strong performance, especially in the final stage, having a good handling truck, especially in the long runs, because Crafton said, practice, we had a good long run truck, and by golly, they did, coming away with solid pit stops all night and continue to make adjustments, because the first stage, they were a little bit behind the 8-ball. They were able to keep the truck moving forward and passing some of the other favorites, which I'll talk about in a moment, and Crafton was able to come away finishing second in the race, which was enough to be the highest of the Gander Outdoor Truck Series Championship for Contenders and win his third championship, tying him with the great Jack Sprague and putting him one behind Hall of Famer Ron Hornaday. I mean, people have got to admit, winning a third championship, it's got to put Matt Crafton in the conversation for Hall of Fame, doesn't it? And also, I would like to say, for the people out there that's saying, oh, Matt Crafton didn't deserve to win the championship because he didn't win a race. Stop it. He won it fair and square. He had the better handling truck. And here's the thing. Ryan Newman, a couple years ago in the playoff format in 2014, almost won the championship by not winning a race. Austin Dillon won the Xfinity Championship in 2013, even though it was not the playoffs at the time. He didn't win a race all year. There have been champions that have won, or almost won, a championship because of, not having a single victory at all. Take, for example, Austin Dillon and almost Ryan Newman. Matt Crafton has done it, and he does it fair and square. I can't be happy for him, and I'm excited for him to get back to Victory Circle, hopefully in 2020 at Daytona. Great year, Matt. I'm so proud of you. Number 2, Austin Hill, who had the heartbreak a week ago, being eliminated from the championship four because of, despite starting on the pole at ISM, had a very poor handling truck the rest of the race compared to Crafton, who had to outpoint him, which he did, and get in. Austin Hill had the best truck all night long, driving for the truck that won the championship a year ago with Brett Moffitt. This time he came in just to say, let's get ourselves ready for 2020 because he will be back with this team next year. Hattori Racing Enterprises, owned by Shiki Hattori, who's a former truck driver if you watched the 2005 season back then. They had a dominant truck. They led the most laps and ended up winning the race, which was a strong performance. And I got a feeling Austin Hill could put himself back to the championship for next year, especially when we go to Daytona, where he opened the season with a victory this year. Number 3, the other championship for contenders of the Gander Outdoor Truck Series, Brett Moffitt, Ross Chastain, Stuart Friesen, all of them had they had a great solid year. Moffitt coming from Hattori Racing to GMS. Ross Chastain switching points in the middle of the season from Xfinity to trucks with Nice Motorsports, who had their best season. And Stuart Friesen breaking the curse, getting the monkey off his back, getting his first win early this year at Eldora, a track where he's constantly running well and winning because he's a dirt racer, and then winning at the pavement at ISM last weekend to get himself to Homestead. Everybody said one of those three is going to come on top, not Matt Crafton. Well, they had good trucks at the beginning, but when it mattered the most, they just fell behind, and the long runs kind of killed them. And on the last pit stop of the night under green, Stuart Friesen got caught behind the lap truck of Angela Ruck, and that cost him from catching Matt Crafton and not having any chance of winning the championship. But nonetheless, these three had very solid seasons. Chastain's moving to the Xfinity Series next year for Colleague Racing. Brett Moffitt and Stuart Friesen will stay in the GMS associated bodies for the Truck Series next year. They should be strong contenders for the season. Number 4, the Xfinity Series Championship came to a close today, and Tyler Reddick captures his second career NASCAR Xfinity Series title, becoming the first back-to-back Xfinity champion since Ricky Stenhouse in 2011-2012. He joins a great list: Sam Ard, Larry Pearson, Randy LaJoie, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Martin Truex Jr., and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Tyler Reddick has earned himself to be that company. I mean, he had a great season. After last year, people were like, oh, he didn't deserve to win that championship last year because he only won 2 races, the opener and the closer for Junior Motorsports. Well, this year he was on a mission with a new team in Richard Childress Racing to prove all the doubters wrong, and he did exactly that, having a strong car and what was a very competitive race racing with his other contenders. Reddick just had the best car, especially like the last pit stop, and being able to, save the car and save the tires, especially as the long run went on, even after green flag pit stops late in the race. Just a great year for Tyler Reddick, who's making the move to Richard Childress Racing full-time in the NASCAR Cup Series next year. And I can't wait to see what this kid does. He's making a name for himself, and he'll try to bring the famous 8 car back to Victory Circle next season. I cannot wait to see what Tyler Reddick has in store for 2020 for Richard Childress Racing. And number 5, the other championship contenders, Cole Custer, Christopher Bell, Justin Allgaier, all came up short. I mean, literally, they were all covered in a blanket for part of the race. And like the final stage, when it came down to it, the final stage that determines who's going to win the championship, they were all covered together like you could throw a blanket over them. I mean, that was some great racing, back and forth, slide jobs between Reddick and Custer. It was just an impressive and very exciting, entertaining thriller to the end of the NASCAR Xfinity season in 2019. Cole Custer, coming so close, says, it was a little bit better than last year considering he fell back early and then, got himself the second lane in the race, but it still wasn't enough to catch Tyler Reddick, who was literally like almost 10 seconds ahead of him late in the race. I mean, Cole Custer nonetheless had a great year, 7 wins, and big news yesterday, he announced that he will be going to Storehouse Racing's Cup program next year, replacing Daniel Suarez. We don't know what the future is for Suarez yet, but Cole Custer deserves it, and I cannot wait to see what he does. And Christopher Bell, who just in his interview said, we had a good car, but it just, seems like he couldn't get a grip on Homestead Miami Speedway, especially considering he's a dirt racer, and this kind of has a dirt, figure to it, especially when you're riding up high against the wall, trying to carry momentum off the corner, and trying to pull a gap from the car behind if they're taking a different lane, or if they're right behind you. You got to pray that they don't get a huge slipstream down the back straightaway or coming off the corner. Christopher Bell said he just couldn't get a grip on this track, but he'll get a chance next year as he moves up to the Levine Family Racing for the Monster Energy for the NASCAR Cup Series. Can't say Monster Energy because they're not sponsoring NASCAR next year, but Cole Custer, Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell, they're destined to do battle for the Rookie of the Year next year. It could be the best Rookie of the Year battle we've had since 2016 with Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney. And then the other championship contender, Justin Allgaier, was kind of the lower of the 4 for most of the day, although Cole Custer at one point had to pit under green because he had a loose wheel, and he was able to drive all the way back up towards the end of stage 2, pass the leader, Austin Cindric, get his lap back, and put himself in position to have a chance to win the championship. Justin Allgaier, a very solid season. At the beginning of the year, there were some, bumps that they had to fix. As the season progressed, they won their first race and only race of the season in almost over a year since Indianapolis at ISM last weekend, propelling them to get to the championship 4. And late in the race with about 10 laps to go, he grazed the wall and had to pit under green and finished 14th, 1 lap down. But it was a good year for Justin Allgaier, and he could be the championship favorite next year, considering those 3 that finished ahead of him in points. He doesn't have to worry about them next year because they're going to be going to the Cup Series. So Justin Allgaier fans, get optimistic. Justin Allgaier is going to put up a fight next year for 2020. So that is it for the Xfinity Truck Series season. They've come to a close until Daytona, which leaves tomorrow the big race to decide who will be the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series champion. Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, 3 Gibbs cars versus a Storehouse car. It's going to be an exciting day. It's going to be an exciting battle. Who will be the champ? You got to find out. You got to watch NBC at 1:30 to find out who's going to be number 1. So subscribe, like. Congrats to our Xfinity champ, Tyler Reddick, our truck champ, Matt Crafton. Yeah, baby. And we'll see you guys tomorrow to recap the thriller and finish of the 2019 NASCAR Cup season. See ya.